welcome to Kerber Edge, Derbyshire, in the beautiful Peak District. And part 2 of 2023, my year in still photography. Now for my next selection of images, this is the second time I've filmed an introduction. Now for the first filming, I found a really minimalist beach on the Moray coast in Scotland. So far so good, location was fantastic, the shot wasn't bad. I thought what I'd do is I'd walk from the horizon towards the camera and at the very last moment pose a rhetorical question about the theme of the next sequence. So beautifully arty and all that, but what you have to do is to remember to turn the microphone on. Now that's a mistake that turned out to be quite fortunate, because I wanted to reflect a little more on the subject. So my initial idea was just to call the sequence Doors. See, a door is a means by which you can pass from one place to another, and the door itself may not allude to what's behind. So the richest, most opulent door may lead to wretched misery, whilst a scruffy one can take you to a place of great happiness. But we don't just use doors to get from one place to another. To access this walk today, I had to pass through a gate. Now with a gate, to an extent, you can see what lies beyond. Not always. That's why I've changed the title of the next sequence to Portals, which can carry the connotation of passing from one time to another. I've said too much. Well, that was an interesting little project for the year. I really enjoyed it. Now the bird hive behind me has been here for just a few years, but it's already showing signs of weathering and aging. But it's still got quite a way to go in that process. Now there eventually comes a point where a structure begins to fail in its form and in its identity. You still have the sense of what it was, but you can also see what it might become. In my travels along the concrete coast, I've seen examples of that have taken the best part of 100 years, and some that I've seen fail in less than 5. Capturing that process of change, if you can, is an absolute delight in still photography. My next selection of photographs from 2023 I've given the title Entropy. Entropy, a process of gradual change. Something familiar becoming unfamiliar. You can look at something and realise quite suddenly just how much it's changed. That happened to me one day when I looked in the mirror. Of course, if I see something changing in me, I can react in real time and do something about it. Which brings me to my next selection of photographs. And I've come to one of my local nature reserves to present it. Nature is also living in real time, alongside the longer processes. And when I think of nature, I'm not just thinking of animals. Not much to see today. That doesn't bother me because it looks different every time I come here. Now the creatures I do see here are reacting to the world in real time, much like we do. Feeding, taking shelter, looking after their young, that kind of thing. The plant's way of life may be a bit slower, reacting to light, weather, seasons. And they are of course a food source for many, and those berries will disappear to be replaced again in the new year. For me there's a third aspect to nature, and that's this whole environment itself. We're about to come across a river which is tidal. The level will change according to the recent weather. The content and the quality of the water may change rapidly also, though not always for natural reasons. My next selection of photographs is on the theme of nature. And I've given it the title, We Share This Place. Now the picture of the flamingos was actually taken indoors. That was taken at a WWT reserve during an outbreak of avian flu, so they made the decision to keep the birds indoors. Now the interior of the flamingo building had been lined with lots of black plastic, and there was just a few windows with golden sunlight bursting in, and every now and again a few of the birds would walk into those beams of light. Splendid colours, lovely memory. Moments like that are captured in my mind through the medium of still photography. That's why I say in these films, this is not a portfolio, it's a collection of memories, connections with an environment and experiences. I've been assembling those moments in still photography for well over 40 years. I've also been doing something else for over 40 years. That's earning a living. And although I've had some fantastic experiences doing that, there aren't many that could compare to a day out like this. Now in the first film I mentioned some examples of creative highs I've had in the last year or so, and that something was eating away at me. It turns out that familiar routine of work started to feel less familiar and maybe even undesirable. Whilst the time I was spending in places like this was calling me more and more. There was a realisation that the plugging away at one thing whilst my heart was somewhere else was too big a contradiction. All of which led me to the decision to stop working. Now, I don't have any thought-provoking title for my last collection of photographs from 2023. The title is Just Because. Just because, in spite of all the challenges of facing up to a difficult decision, and even though I felt disconnected at times, still photography has remained with me through it all. Winter is most definitely here. So, a year of considerable change. Now, the practicalities of that decision take some time to put in place. Probably made the decision in April or thereabouts. Started putting it in place in June. And now in November, most of the things I need to do have been done. Now, pretty much every step of that journey has rewarded me with a reconnection of some kind. Now, of course, I can't be sure how everything's going to turn out, but I am sure I'm looking forward to it. Now, it'll take a while for films to filter through on the channel from this new era in my life. I have a short series to bring you from Sutherland. That's a trip I made in April-May of 2023. Then I have what might turn out to be an ongoing series of films from Kent. And I've been filming that for the last 3 years. This is the Eagle Stone. In the rain. Now, with the change in lifestyle, I'll be able to bring you some films a little more in real time. Once again, I'd like to thank every viewer and every subscriber for your support. And I wish you peace, tranquility and happiness for the year to come. I very much hope you can join me for my adventures in 2024. Although I have no firm plans, I think I may embark on a voyage of some kind. From a blustery, rainy, moody Baslow Edge in Derbyshire. This has been 2023, my year in still photography. I have been your avuncular host. Thanks for watching.